Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chowdhury. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Wednesday, the 15th of July. Mullah Omar warns of more attacks on foreigners despite welcoming peace talks. India, Australia and South Africa announce scrapping of Champions League T20. And Pakistani actor Fawad Khan promotes style and fashion on Indian ramp. And now for all the details. Nearly a week after the Afghan Taliban and the government representatives held their first meeting in Islamabad, Pakistan government has revealed details about the talks. It confirmed that top leadership from both the sides were in attendance and the meeting was authorized by the Taliban leadership.
Pakistan Foreign Affairs Advisor Sartaj Aziz has confirmed that the delegations which met in Islamabad last week have informed their respective leaderships about the progress made in the talks. Expressing confidence that the dialogue will lead to restoration of peace in Afghanistan, Aziz hoped that the future peace talks will see more representation from the Taliban leadership. Divulging the details about the meeting last week, Aziz said the Afghan delegation was headed by Deputy Foreign Minister Khalil Hekmat Karzai, while the Taliban had Acting Chief Akhtar Mansoor. Even though the two sides held their first talks, the role of Taliban's Qatar office during the entire process remained a mystery. According to reports, none from the Qatar office were a part of the Taliban delegation. The talks in Islamabad were the first ever engagement the two ends publicly acknowledged of undertaking ever since the new government came to power in Afghanistan. Many previous efforts to bring the two warring sides on negotiation tables had repeatedly been failed. However, observers including the US believed that the political and military leadership in Islamabad could play a key role in ending the conflict. This is largely due to the once proximity between the Taliban and the Pakistan government.
And while Islamabad is hopeful of mediating peace in Afghanistan, Taliban chief Mullah Omar on Wednesday vowed to continue fighting to free Afghanistan of foreign forces. This is despite the Taliban supreme leader welcoming the recently held talks with the government.
Taliban Supreme Commander Mullah Omar, in his annual message on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr, vowed to continue fighting until all foreign forces left Afghanistan. He insisted on the implementation of a pure Islamic system, claiming that large areas in the country have been liberated by Taliban fighters. Jihad is as obligatory today as it was in the beginning of the foreign occupation because our Muslim homeland Afghanistan is still under occupation and both its land and airspace are controlled by the invaders, Omar said on Wednesday. The statement comes after a US drone strike killed at least 28 Taliban militants in Haska Mina district of eastern Nangarhar province late on Tuesday. The area, which has remained a stronghold of Taliban, has frequently come under the unmanned attacks. At least 200 militants were killed in drone strikes in Nangarhar last week alone. Violence by Taliban rebels in Afghanistan has spiked ever since they announced their spring-summer offensive in April. Despite the process to work out peace between the Afghan establishment and the Taliban leadership, various government installments and civilians have come under terror attacks.
The European Union on Wednesday started deployment of Election Observation Mission or EOM to Sri Lanka to oversee the upcoming parliamentary election. The island nation will vote next month to choose its new parliament.
The European Union EOM has been set up following invitation by the Sri Lankan authorities to observe the electoral process in the run-up to the parliamentary vote. The committee will consist of a core team of 8 election analysts and 18 long-term observers who will be deployed in all Lankan provinces. Apart from this, 28 short-term observers will also be placed shortly before the election day. The single-phase vote to all the 225 seats is scheduled for August 17th. Even as the election battle is heating up, the differences between President Maithripala Sirisena and his predecessor Mahinda Rajapaksa continues to soar. Despite his United People's Freedom Alliance or UPFA granting an election ticket to Rajapaksa, President Sirisena on Tuesday reiterated that he will continue to stand against the former strongman. He also claimed that Rajapaksa's candidature will affect the prospects of his coalition in the polls. President Sirisena, who had vehemently opposed election ticket to Rajapaksa, had put forward a set of stringent conditions for the approval of his nomination. This comes despite the two hailing from the same political outfit, the Sri Lankan Freedom Party. The president in turn is openly backing current Prime Minister and United National Front for Good Governance candidate Ranil Wickremesinghe for the job. Rajapaksa, who ruled the island nation for 10 years, suffered a shocking defeat to his former cabinet colleague Sirisena in January while attempting to run for a third consecutive term as president. Ever since, President Sirisena has blocked all comeback efforts of Rajapaksa, who has been accused of rampant corruption and nepotism while in office.
Myanmar Foreign Minister on Wednesday met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ahead of the first India-Myanmar Joint Consultative Commission meeting. A report.
Myanmar Foreign Minister Mullah called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in national capital New Delhi. The meeting was also attended by India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Mullah, who arrived in the country late on Tuesday, is on a 4-day visit to India. He is scheduled to co-chair the first India-Myanmar Joint Consultative Commission or JCC meeting along with Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj on Thursday. The meeting would also provide a useful opportunity for exchange of views on regional and international issues of mutual interest. Mullah's visit comes a month after Indian Army carried out a surgical strike against terrorists along the Indo-Myanmar border. The operation was carried out in the follow-up of a militant ambush which killed at least 18 Indian soldiers in northeastern Manipur. India and Myanmar share a long porous border which is home to dozens of insurgent groups.
The Champions League T20 cricket tournament has been discontinued. The cricket boards of India, South Africa and Australia, which jointly organised the tournament, cited lack of viewership and public attention as the reason behind calling off the international league. The participants were domestic T20 league winners from the 7 test-playing nations. Even though the Champions League was announced in 2009, after the huge success of the Indian Premier League, it had failed to attract fans both in stadiums and in front of television sets. The Chennai Super Kings and the Mumbai Indians have been the most successful teams in the Champions League with 2 trophies each. The team from Chennai, along with Rajasthan Royals, were on Tuesday slapped with a 2-year suspension from the IPL in a betting scandal. The holy month of Ramzan brings with it particular delicacies and drinks too. Ramzan this year might have fallen when Pakistan is facing high temperatures, but residents are just not complaining.
Muslims across Pakistan are observing the holy month of Ramzan. And with the temperature soaring to unprecedented heights, worsened by the frequent power outages, fasting from dawn to dusk is not an easy task. But residents in the old walled city of Peshawar have found a cure to beat the intense thirst and weakness while marking Ramzan. Gond Katira, a special drink made from a particular variety of thorny shrubs, has caught the fancy of the locals.
रोज़ाना इसलिए आते हैं कि एक तो रमज़ान मुबारक है, गर्मी है बहुत ज़्यादा, और डेली इसलिए पीते हैं कि हमारे जिस्म को तरबियत मिले, ताकत मिले. सारा दिन रोज़ा होता है, वो जिस्म से ताकत ख़त्म हुई होती है, तो ये एक कटोरा 2 डेली इसलिए पी लेते हैं कि जिस्म में ताकत आए.
Gond Katira is a tasteless, odorless vegetable gum, dull white in color. It is viscous and dries into flakes, blocks or crystals on exposure to air. When soaked in water for 6 to 8 hours, it swells and turns into a jelly-like substance which is transparent and looks like chunks of ice. Those selling the drink are making good money this season.
इधर 16 साल हो गए हैं. पहले ये 10 रुपए का कटोरा था, अब ये 60 रुपए के. फिर भी लोग खुशी से आते हैं, खुशी से पी कर जाते हैं. इसमें हम 16 आइटम डालते हैं. इसमें गोंद कतीरा है, काजू है, बादाम है, गुलकंद है, अशरफी है, करवंदा है, मेवा है, खुरमानी है, खजूर है, पाइनएप्पल है, और इसके साथ साथ गर्मी में आइटम और भी बढ़ जाते हैं.
The drink is also believed to have medicinal benefits. It is also widely consumed in neighboring India and Middle Eastern countries.
Coconut trees and its products have always been an integral part of daily lives of people in India's southern Kerala. Now it is also helping small fishermen to make a living, but in a different way. Let's take a look.
It is a boat designed specifically for small-scale inland fishing. and it is built from an unlikely material, the coconut wood. The canoe was designed by a research center to help the fishermen in the region who otherwise couldn't afford to buy one owing to high costs of the conventional wood. The boat has now been handed over to fishermen in the province on an experimental basis. Many felt that coconut wood canoes could become the boat of the future. The designers claim that the new boat can easily be built even by a local craftsman and comes at almost half the price of usual vessels. The scientists are also now planning to design a similar boat which can be used in the sea for Lakshadweep Islands. The canoe has been reinforced with chemical treatment and fiberglass for longevity.
Chemical preservative treatment to a very low level was done to make it durable, and the treatment was using a preservative that would not harm the environment. And also we have done the toxicity studies and the environmental impact studies for that. And on top of it, we have used fiberglass, 2 layers of fiberglass to cover the boats.
Tall green coconut trees have been for long an identity of the southern tourist hotspot. While coconut is an integral part of the local cuisine, its husk is used to make natural rope known as coir. Items like coconut wood and shell are also used to create a varied range of handicrafts.
He took Bollywood by storm with his very first outing in India. Pakistan's best-known export to the tinsel town is now upbeat about keeping the buzz alive with his forthcoming projects too. Take a look at what brought him back to the country.
It was the biggest Bollywood debut for any Pakistani actor last year. Fawad Khan, who has cinefans going gaga after him, is aiming to bridge the gap between films on both sides of the border. Khan, who keeps hopping between both the nations, landed in India's entertainment capital, Mumbai, this week. The 33-year-old actor walked the ramp for an international clothing label as its brand ambassador at a glittering event on Tuesday. The Suits and Jackets line is a lifestyle brand catering to formal and city wear. Khan, who wore a high-neck suit with linen shirt and white pants completing with a coral pocket square, was all praised for the high-end apparel collection.
It actually defines a very style-sensible man, and with their all-time famous Italian cuts, they're actually bringing forward a very, I think, available kind of, clothing and dressing for every kind of man out there.
Khan was upbeat about his next Bollywood outing, Kapoor and Sons, alongside current heartthrobs Siddharth Malhotra and Alia Bhatt. The actor-cum-singer, who has recently done several films and successful television shows in Pakistan, including Humsafar and Zindagi Gulzar Hai, said working on the small screen gave him a lot of exposure.
I think जो TV का charm है, वो अलग है और film का charm अलग है. Having worked on both mediums, I have love and respect and regard for both the mediums. Film ज़रा थोड़ा सा challenging हो जाता है कि आपने ना 1.5 घंटे 2 घंटे की रेस के अंदर सब कुछ prove करना होता है. Then on television, obviously, you have the facility, you have the luxury of actually pacing yourself or pacing the story over a number of episodes.
Khan played a royal prince in his 2014 dream Bollywood debut, Khoobsurat, opposite style icon Sonam Kapoor. The film, which went on to become one of the biggest hits of the year, brought him overnight stardom and several top honors, including the Filmfare Award.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories, once again, Mullah Omar warns of more attacks on foreigners despite welcoming peace talks. India, Australia and South Africa announced scrapping of Champions League T20. And Pakistani actor Fawad Khan promotes style and fashion on Indian ramp. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.